Why do I feel this way? Here, your brain will offer you a bunch of thoughts that your brain really believes to be true because, again, love the stats here. 95% of what we think.
Hello and welcome to Finding Your Spark again. I am so glad to be here with you again this week. My guest today is Tamara Pflug, and she is here from well, I'm not even going to tell you where she's coming from because she is she is all over the world. That's where she is, and she's been a confidence coach for several years now, and I am really excited to get to talk to you, Tamara.
Thank you so much for having me, Donnalynn. I'm super excited.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a great conversation. One of my favorite things about you and your energy in the world is that you talk about fun and confidence. And so I love the combination of those two things and like how do they relate? And I really want to get into the juice of that a little later. But first, tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching.
Yes, that's a great first question. So I used to be a teacher in Geneva, Switzerland, and I love working with kids. They are very authentic, very simple. They don't take things so seriously up to a certain age. And I realized a bit like teaching them and like being with them, I kind of felt like something was missing from the curriculum. Like we need to learn a bit, I believe, more how to build our confidence, like make decision and have our own back, communicate better. I think all the things that Indian when you're an adult, it truly helps you. So I started learning personal development, and in 2015, I really started learning life coaching. So I did my first certification, I graduated. And then I started coaching people on every problem that they came up with, like time management, productivity. Dating was a really funny one, I have to say. But also, yeah, I would say relationship a lot also. And then I saw that it doesn't matter what I'm coaching on. It comes down often to what we believe about ourselves, what we give ourselves permission to believe about ourselves. Like if I get to this weight, I'm gonna be worthy. If I get in a relationship, somebody loves me, I can give myself permission to love myself. So I became a confidence coach. And I have to say also, it's important for me to say that I used to feel very insecure and comparing myself to others a lot. So I got coached a lot on this. So I think it was important for me to be in integrity with what I do to get to the place that I can help people get to, like to have been there. Does that make sense?
Yes, I love that. And I love that it is so organic for you. You came from a place where you said, this is a kernel of what I want to develop in myself. And eventually you develop it enough that you go like, look, I have a more than a kernel. I have a flower. Does anybody want to have a flower? You have a kernel you don't know about. So I love that. Yeah.
It's exactly this. And I have to say that it's coming from the place that, of course, we are all very unique and, like with our personalities and everything that we have and we are. And that being said, if I could feel confident, and you can see me now, like I'm not saying I don't look perfect, but I just decided to take the best, leave the rest. And if I can feel confident, like I'm sure that everybody can also.
I feel like there's such an important point that you are bringing out here in terms of belief system, right? About how we can't access confidence and fun and playfulness and all the things we want to access, right? We want to have fun in our lives, and that really means fullness, right? Like confidence, it's a fullness level that we feel. And so that's all based on belief system. And when we take that as a structure and say, okay, how are we gonna make those shifts in order to access that confidence? I would love to hear like kind of how those things are all related.
Yes, 100%. And it's funny you asking this question. I love it because it is true that I put, fun and confidence for a reason, together because what you said, confidence is an emotion that is created in our thoughts, like by one thought. It's based also on cognitive. This is my second coaching certification. It's about, really related to cognitive behavioral therapy that states that, our thoughts create our reality. Like what we're thinking is influencing everything in our life. So like around you, like your house, your friends, it all started from something you're thinking. So it's kind of that simple, that confidence is built, like it's generated from like something we're thinking. So that being said, all the belief system and all the thoughts that help us feel more confident, we kind of need to cultivate it, because it's just much easier to beat ourselves up and to hate ourselves, because we kind of believe that this is what really makes us motivated, to hate ourselves to a certain point, that then we have no like way to go. We have to start changing ourselves, So I hope this answers your question. But what I want to say, the connection between, what you said with playful and fun and confidence, it's also because it's not only about the beliefs that we decide to think on purpose, when it comes to confidence. It's also all the, what I like to bring in my coaching, it's also a fun coaching, because we look at it from a playful place, like, I wonder why I think this, like, I wonder why I believe that I'm not good enough. Like, we look at it more from a light-hearted, attitude towards life, like taking things more lightly, not beating ourselves up. Like, yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I love that you're bringing this into it, because I do think that there are a lot of there are a lot of articles and there are a lot of coaches who come at this and they say, "Okay, we got to find the problem. We got to kill the problem. That's the way we're going to do it. We're going to dig through your childhood. We're going to figure out everybody that said something to you that is stuck in your craw, and now we're going to get rid of that, right?" And I in no way mean to disparage healing work that deals with the past. There's a time and place for that, absolutely. But this idea that we can build confidence, really, we have to do that in this moment, right? In this going forward moment where we are now. And so how does that play into this relationship that you're talking about?
Yes, so I think if it's that simple, for like just to feel confident, it depends on actually what I always start asking people is, in what specific situation of your day-to-day life do you want to feel more confident? So then we have a specific situation to look at, because I believe actually that coaching is like solving the big things in life, by working the everyday things. And I like to be more practical than being inspirational. I think people just want to be able to implement something. So we look at a specific situation, let's say like going, on the dating thing. It's just for me, like I used to have a lot of fun dating, and I think that I just also love coaching around this, is to be able to go and talk to someone, for example. So we look in this moment as like what you've been thinking until today that makes you feel maybe self-doubt or insecure. And usually, it's a bunch of thoughts like, I'm maybe not good enough, you mentioned it before. Also like they're not gonna like me, or I'm making a fool of myself. Like usually it's this kind of flavor, of thoughts. So we look at what we're thinking, but the playful and the fun here is really from a place of, we do this from a place of compassion, curiosity, like, I wonder why I think this. And like, okay, this is what I've been thinking until today. And again, we show up, I generally believe we show up in a way based on what we're thinking. So instead of changing things we are doing, it's just much more efficient to pay attention to what we're thinking, which is again the origin and the cause of confidence, but also insecurity. So to answer your question, really, it's all about looking at it, but from a place of lightness. I think not to look at confidence and all of this as something, we can use personal development against ourselves. But I want to offer to people that we don't have to fix ourselves. We just want to feel more confident, because it's the best feeling ever, I think, to feel this genuine peace and freedom on the inside. Then life can throw whatever at you. You're going to be able to handle it because you have your own back. So yeah, this is basically how we go. And then we look at, if I take the dating situation, it's okay, this has been what I've been believing to be true until today. You mentioned, belief patterns and like all of the belief, you said something like this. And we look at actually what we will need to believe instead to generate this confidence for this specific situation. So it just makes it very practical and down to earth, and at the same time still very light, playful. And I think we take ourselves very seriously, and we would feel much better not taking ourselves so seriously.
Nice. Yeah, I find that so much changes in our world when we lighten up, doesn't it?
No, and it's just also, it's nicer for you, it's nicer for other people. I do think we need to take, as a coach, I'm all for goals and, purpose and things like those. This, but like, let's not take it against ourselves, make it like, it goes with the idea when I'm going to get there, I'm going to be worthy, I'm going to be good enough. And you mentioned good enough, and I think this is something that helped me a lot, and it may help other people, and maybe you, is I like the idea that being good enough is a decision and not a destination. This is already a good way to shift a bit our view on this.
How do you feel about this idea that confidence is actually it's really an outside looking in piece? So the reason I'm asking you this, let me give you a little context. Um, a lot of times I work with people on their emotional condition and to impact their world, right? And when we really work on those inner things, the things that are actually going on that manifest as confidence, a lot of times are really about, or confidence issues, I should say, are really about not feeling a part of the world. And when so that's in relationship to the world, right? Not whatever it is. I'm not good enough for the world. The world is not good enough for me, whatever that is, right? But it's in relationship. And so when we bring it all the way back into ourselves, there's benefit in understanding that those feelings that are about approval, not approval, being able to act in a way in the world that is accepted and that gets you good responses and things like that, that there's a piece that's even further inside that's like really about flow. It's really about being fully present. Do you feel like that um, is a piece of the puzzle that you're working with?
Yes, for sure. No, I do believe that actually, when we like want to be approved of the world, like, like get validation and approval of the world from other people also, and then we again give ourselves permission to believe something about ourselves that again we are part of it, we are validated, we are approved of. I think this just goes back to the fact, we still have the same brains as our cave brothers and sisters, so it just, our brain seek really wants us to be a part of the tribe, so it's looking for, like, very actively for like being a part of the tribe, for validation, for approval. So I think this is totally sane, and at the same time the best confidence ever, exactly what you said, on that is actually, I believe, from within, is just much more efficient, because there will never be enough validation and approval from the rest of the world and from other people to feed that part inside of us that needs this validation or own validation. And you can find this example, like, for weight loss, or people always say, like, you lost a lot of weight or you look so good, and as long as you don't feel it yourself, you can get as much as you want, it's still not going to be enough. It's a moving target, I believe.
I love that idea of a moving target. I do think that when we're kind of self-assessing and then taking in what other people are assessing about us, that you're dead on right, that it is a moving target and you can't ever get there.
Yeah, what does enough good like what does good enough look like? Like, it looks like we're never gonna get there, because also I think the brain, one of the speciality of the brain is, solving problems, to keep us alive. So if you get to enough, it's going to find something else. It's like, reaching a goal. A goal is reached in like a second, but then we want the next goal. This is amazing, I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So where does fun fit into it? I mean, I love this lightheartedness, but can we use fun to build confidence? Like, how does it work?
Yes. So, we can use fun for everything in life. I think that people think that fun is reserved for evenings and for the weekends, for vacation. I think that we just ask ourselves the wrong questions when we, for example, edit a podcast or like things like this or anything. We can always ask ourselves, like, how can I make this fun? And it goes, with the light-hearted attitude towards life. But even doing the dishes or like things that, I don't know, we don't want to do, we just ask ourselves like empowering question, like, how can I make this fun? How can I have more fun? And to make it related to confidence, it's because, of course, we want to, as I gave the example before of the dating scene, but we want to, all of us, I guess, feel more confident in, again, specific situation of our day-to-day life. So we are going to look at, again, what we are thinking and what we would like think instead to help us generate this genuine confidence in that moment. But all of this work, and personal development, and it sounds, again, very serious. All of this, I think we can use it from a place, like do it from a place of love, again, compassion, curiosity, and have fun. Because when, you uncover beliefs about yourself, or like things that you believe about yourself, or thoughts about yourself, it can take you through, like, down the rabbit hole, because then it's like turning on the light in a very dark room. You almost don't want to see what's inside, like you don't want to take care of what you have in your head, that creates this insecurity. So I think the process is really also even this. You do want, like, we want to feel more confident just because it's make life easier, I guess. But also the work around it can be fun. And this is what I mean with coaching. It's also everything that's happening to us in our life, to make sure that we use it as a way to, like, build our confidence and never to beat ourselves up. Like lots of things that happen, we think that something wrong with us, like you said also, and I agree, still my brain is offering me this sometimes, like, I'm not good enough, I deserved it, like, but from a mid place, but when you take it lightly with some fun, you kind of see your brain for what it is, like, and you remind yourself, I see you, brain, but I am not my brain, I'm not my thoughts, like, take it chill, relax. As much, like, still you can have a successful career, like a lot of amazing results in your life, but for sure, people think that you cannot be serious and have fun. I really think the opposite is true, and I'm all about manifestation, and I believe that it attracts much more when you have fun and you have an aura around you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So let's talk about the thoughts a little bit. Let's talk about how can we recognize when we're having some sort of confidence issues when we're in our thinking, right? I, before you answer that, I just want to say I love that you made this space between I see you, brain, right? Like my brain is doing something, but I am not my brain. I have a brain. And and I think that's the thing when we notice what we're thinking, right? So what could we notice what we're thinking that will lead us to be able to expand in this area?
Yes, well, you said it actually, so you good to answer to your own question. I think that it's all, we have all of you, me, everybody, 60,000 thoughts per day, and most of them are unconscious. You drive on automatic, and the brain has to be efficient, so it is going to put it on automatic. So the simple way, again, it's not that easy at first because it takes a bit of practice, but the simple way to do it is to not believe your brain, which means that when you mention we feel insecure, we have moments of self-doubt, it's about looking at these thoughts for what they are. When you think about it, you're not good enough. It's you're not good enough. I'm counting here. It's like 5 words. So it's 5 words next to each other, but just understand the meaning that we give it. So honestly, being more aware and just looking the thought for what it is, like just try to catch it. So you feel insecure, you feel self-doubt, and try to picture, why do I feel this way? Here, your brain will offer you a bunch of thoughts that your brain really believes to be true because, again, love the stats here. 95% of what we think today, for example, is what we've been thinking yesterday. So the brain is not gonna, like I love to say this, our brain's job is not to make us happy. Like our brain's job is to keep us alive. So it's just going to say, this serves her well, she's still alive, I'm gonna offer it again. So honestly, very simple. Take it easy. Of course, the process has to be easy, is not to believe our brain. It's not because we think I'm not good enough that we're not good enough. It's just a few words next to each other. So this will be the first step that I think our brain cannot be too overwhelmed with, because he's the one making the mistakes here by offering us wrong thoughts, thoughts that are not serving us.
That's awesome. So how can we interrupt those thoughts? How can we redirect?
Yeah, the first step, so when you are already aware, like when you are catching them, and it's honestly what I breathe and like do all day long, I still have thoughts that are negative, that are like, I'm beating myself up sometimes, like just one or two thoughts like you're not gonna get there or you've never been consistent, and you just catch it for what it is. So the way to do it honestly is to separate ourselves from our brain, try to get out of your body and observe yourself thinking and know like, okay, this is a thought, it's not true, I'm not my thoughts. It's like, emotions also, we are not our emotions, we are not our brain. So this is really, I think 50% when you get into the habit of not believing your brain, this is already first step. And the second one, to answer your question, is, and I think it is my whole work that you summarized perfectly in like 2 seconds, is to redirect our brain. We can give direction to our brain. So here again, I think, and it's Tony Robbins that said that the quality of our life depends on the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves. So here in this moment, it's not even, is it true or not that I'm good enough? We just know that it's not serving us. So, okay, I want to generate confidence. What can I think now that I believe to be true right now that can generate confidence? And the way to do usually the best is to look for proof or evidence in the past of a moment I felt confident or I did feel confident, which sometimes I agree that at first it can be a little bit challenging for people that believe they are insecure from like birth. But we do find always a moment, and then you just use the same thought that used to believe like, there is a chance I can do this. You can feel with this thought, if it's like try it on like a sweater, in a changing room, and see if it feels like, if it generates confidence for you. And then this is already the way to redirect your brain to something that you already believe. You don't even have to build a belief, just like borrow it from your past, from a situation you already know you felt confidence.
Yeah, that's great. And so let's talk about that part where you said already believe. Like that's an essential piece of how we work with our brains, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I think it's again to use our brain for ourselves. We need to give it direction. I heard this on one day, and I think it stuck with me. It's very funny. They said that your brain, unsupervised, is like a toddler with a knife. Like it's just gonna. I don't have a toddler myself, but I can imagine the situation with all the babysitting I did. So I can see it like it's basically running around with a knife. So it is, without supervision, it is dangerous. So the way to do it really is to look into the past. I am sure, even if it's like a very small situation, I don't know, pouring water in a glass. Most of the people are confident they can do this. Of course, we are not consciously thinking, I think I can do this, and then we feel confident. But it's this little proof or evidence of the past that we can use for a future situation we want to feel more confident in. So again, just think of a situation, and I know that some brains here have some resistance, when I offer this exercise, because people are they are reporting the news as to, they are very insecure people. But for sure, if I coach a bit around, and again with some like fun and playfulness around, like more like an experiment, like, okay, I'm going to find a past situation where I felt confident in, and then you find one thought and you use it. I don't know if you can think of an example. Maybe this could be inspiring for people.
So I want to think of an example that's actually really from childhood. And I feel like somehow that's an important piece of the puzzle sometimes, is that we try to think of something from last week. But often when we think of something from last week, there's a lot of heaviness in it, right? There's like, oh yeah, but actually that's still in process, or somebody really has an opinion about that part of it. And right. But sometimes when we can go back to this kind of purer state of ourselves, right, before there was so much complication around it, then there's a part of us that goes like, oh, I am just inherently here. It is good that I am here. I am here, right? I am good, right? There's that piece of it. And I realize I'm using sort of judgmental language in terms of the I am good piece of it. But by good, I mean, I am flowing, right? And so that is so easy in childhood. When I was young, I danced and I rode horses, and I made music and all of that, and I made art, and like all of that came so easily because we're just being, right, when we're young. And so I feel like those moments are very, very easy to tap into and go like, oh yeah, I felt good when I was on top of a horse that was 3 times my size, who was in harmony with me. It wanted me there. It was okay with me being there, right? And I was good with being in that concert with that horse. And or the same thing with for me with dancing. I still love to dance. I didn't dance for years and years and years, and I just went back to it. And there is a kind of a flow state that happens when you are there and your brain takes a break. Yeah. And it feels good. You feel that the flow of confidence, right? And I love that. I love those moments as spaces to say, I feel confident, rather than the performances. Right? Like, I could go back to performances. I was in the theater when I was young, and, I could go back to performances and be like, "There was a lot of clapping," you know? And it felt good. It felt good to be approved by others, but somehow that confidence state feels more, aligned in me in those moments of being, of just true being. So that's my answer to the example.
Yeah. No, but that's a good answer. And then I think, honestly, then it's just about transposing. Like, I mean, just using the same thoughts. Again, you see, like, when you're talking about it, I don't know, I don't see you, but I guess it's still, like, fun to talk about these moments. So this is where the fun enters also. And then you can use it for any situation. I think the brain just needs a bit of, again, direction and practice. And then you're on a roll, like having these thoughts at your disposal to use.
Yeah. Yeah. And that thing that you just said about you get on a roll is that even just like I didn't want to answer just one thing. I wanted to go on and on and on about it, right? Because it felt good. Those were good moments. They felt really good. And that ability to sort of build momentum, I think that is a really key piece of being able to experience the fun of confidence, right? The fun part of how do we get confidence? How do we feel it? How does it get in our body? And then how do we bring it into the world with us?
Yeah. What if it would be that easy? Like I think also people, I really think people think sometimes that confidence, like it's a skill to develop, but it looks like this heavy thing, that, oh, I don't have it and I need to get it. But actually, I think if you look for inner past, the past, I believe the past exists only in the thoughts that we have about it. So we better choose carefully what we're looking at, like otherwise it's not too useful. But for what is serving us, again, we felt already confident. So we can just borrow from a past self or future self. Such a poet, but makes sense.
Yeah, well, this has been absolutely enlightening, and I'm so glad that we've gotten to have this conversation. Tell us a little bit about how everybody can get in touch with you.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's totally been two ways. Like I really enjoyed it also. Thank you. And you put me in a good mood with just what you referred to as dancing and everything. So thank you for this also. So yeah, people can find me through my website, which is personal-developmentzone.com. Yeah. So yeah, I wrote it anyway. I think it will be in the show notes. But yeah, basically this is how people can find me. And I'm also on Instagram, Fun Confidence Coach. And yeah, basically this is myself 101 in a nutshell.
Nice, really nice. Well, I'm really glad and that we got to have this conversation and that it's brought a smile to my face, to your face. Like here we are, right? And that's kind of part of the point, isn't it? We want to be confident
Yeah.
in order to get to this good bit,
Exactly.
right?
And have fun doing it. Again, it's not a problem to solve, like the way you were telling the story before, it did not sound like something has to be solved. It was just you being, so this is the light-hearted attitude I'm talking about. What if it's that easy and that simple?
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Amazing opportunity. Thank you.
My pleasure. And I want to remind everybody that you can go to Donnalynn.blog and get all sorts of free resources, right? And among them are some tools to find joy. So head on over there and it's free. So go ahead, go get it, right? And I will see you next time.